Let's knit two-color Fair Isle. Today we're making a hat. Welcome back to GoodKnit Kisses for another weekly tutorial on knitting. Be sure to subscribe to get your weekly video. The basic two-color Fair Isle requires no new techniques beyond the basic knit stitch. So when we're working in a circular fashion, all you need is the main knit stitch in the body of your work, and then you may need a brim or edging for hats and cowls. But basically, all you need to know is the knit stitch, and we'll be holding yarn for our accent in the back. Now, it develops a color straining in the back with some floats, but I've got a technique here where there's not these long floats of color that your ring or anything else can get caught up in. So I'll be teaching that to you in this tutorial. You're going to need your yarn. I've got one ball of Peyton's Alpaca Blend color Black Cherry. It's a bulky 5-weight yarn. And then our accent for contrast B is color Birch from Peyton's Alpaca Blend. You'll also need a stitch marker and your tapestry needle for weaving in the little tails. And then we need our circular knitting needle. Today I'm using a US 11 or 8mm circular needle with a 24-inch cord. So be sure and get your supplies together and go click on the link in the description below to get your pattern. Let's begin. Let's start by casting on. We're going to make a knitted cast on today, and because my needles are a little dark for this yarn, I'm just going to switch them to something lighter. So make whatever cast on you like. I prefer the knitted for this particular pattern. I'm just going to start by making a slip knot, however it works for you, and slip that onto my needle that I normally would hold all that knitting in, and then we're going to insert into the first stitch. Okay, so we're knitting directly on here, and we're not actually going to be moving anything over to our other needle. I'm going to go ahead and yarn over just like you're pulling through a knit stitch, and then you don't drop it off, you just twist around and pick it back up with that same needle that had that first stitch on it. So we drop it off on there. So now we have 2 stitches on our needle. We're just going to continue across, insert into there, yarn over as a knit stitch, pull through, twist, and insert our needle and drop it off. Let's do that again one more time. Insert, yarn over, pull through, twist, insert. There we go. So I've got 4 stitches on here. You're going to continue, and when we meet back up, we will join it in the round. For our hat, we're going to cast on 60 stitches. Now let's connect in the round. On this particular cord length, it's actually too long for this demonstration purposes, but I also want to show you how to make a magic loop. So the magic loop, all it is that you're squeezing it together between 2 stitches that are further away from where your needles are, and you just pinch the cord and then feed it through, and this is the extra cording, so that way I can get my knitting in the round and work with something longer. So if you don't have the right cord length, that's okay. If you do have the right cord length, it might be a little tight when you first start, and then after you get a few rows of knitting, that in the round will work much better. So in order to connect it, we're just going to push our stitches to the ends of our needles here and have your stitch marker ready. And I'm just going to pick off that first stitch on that needle, and then I'm going to pick off that next stitch with my needle I just took one from, and we're just trading, okay? And then I'm just making the first stitch on both needles, the one from the opposite. And then right before I start knitting, I'm going to throw on my stitch marker to indicate my first stitch of the round. So now this is where you can start your knitting. Let's work our ribbing. We're going to knit the first stitch just as usual. Pull that through and drop off the old. Okay, that's the first stitch. Now we're going to put our yarn to the inside or the front of our work and pick up that stitch from the front leg and purl. We're going to yarn over and push through that stitch to the back. And if you need a slower video on the purl stitch, click on the link in the description below for a slower video. We're going to put the yarn to the back again, and we're going to knit. So this is a 1x1 ribbing, and we just alternate moving our yarn to the back or the front and knitting or purling. You're just going to do that all the way around until you reach this last stitch. So pause your video and I'll meet you back up when you completed that round. See you soon. A quick tip on Magic Circle: when you're coming to that last stitch, you are going to find that you've got all this extra cord now. So I would go to the back of the needle that has all those extra stitches on it, and then go ahead and feed through your cord there and pull through all that slack to get it ready for the next stitch. That way you've got as much stitches as possible that you can work before you have to move that cord along. Okay, continue knitting along. All right, I'm coming to the end of my round 1, and I've got this last stitch, but it may be hiding underneath your stitch marker because these were very close before. So just move that stitch marker aside, purl the last stitch, and then you'll just slide the stitch marker over. Just slide it on over like this. Okay, and then now you're ready to move on to the next round. So make sure and get your stitch marker, and don't let it trap in when you go to the next round. Otherwise, you're gonna it's gonna be stuck on there, like where you wrap that around and it's in the back or something. All right, so you're gonna continue moving on, and we're going to knit, purl in around until you have 4 rows of rib stitch. And pause your video. I'll meet you back up when we get to that point. See you soon. All right, so we're ready to move on to the next round. And this next round, we're actually going to be increasing, and we're going to be increasing evenly around. So every 15 stitches, you'll need to increase your stitch. So just go ahead and work up to 15 stitches, and then we will increase. Pause your video as you need, and I'll see you then. Now I'm going to go into the next stitch and knit and pull through, but do not drop off from that left-handed needle. We're going to twist around to the back and pick up this stitch and knit that stitch and pull through, and now you can let it drop off, and that is knit through the front and back. So you're going to continue working 15 more stitches and add another one. So let me just do another increase for you and show you. Let's just pick this one here. We're just going to insert in and yarn over, pull through, twist around, and pick up from the back of this stitch here, yarn over, pull through, and now we have 2 stitches on our needles, and then let this one go. And so you're just going to continue around till you picked up 4 extra stitches, and then when you get back to the beginning of the round, you should have 64 stitches. Knit 1 more round, just knit only. Pause your video, and I will see you when you have that done, and we'll start on the Fair Isle section. See you soon. All right, let's work on our Fair Isle. This is a 4-stitch repeat in the round, and then it's actually a 4-round repeat or 4-row repeat in height. So we're going to be working around with the Fair Isle or color stranding, and then drop our secondary yarn and work just with our main yarn for 1 round, and then the next round on the 3rd we'll be shifting it over and then repeating again with just working with 1 color on the 4th row. So 2nd and 4th rows is color A only. So the first one, we're going to go into that first stitch and pick it up. Now you can pick up the stitch however you're comfortable with knitting the first one, but I want to show you a special technique here in a second. So let's go ahead and pull up this first stitch here. Okay, so now you've got the first one in. Let's insert into the second stitch and have a little chat about how to hold your yarn. Now I've got this really long tail. Don't worry about that for now. I've got in my right hand, I'm English style knitting, and I usually throw it over like this. If you are Continental knitter, you are holding it in your left hand. Now if you can knit with Continental and English, this is perfect for you, or if you want to try it, you can totally do it in this this technique here, and it works really fast once you understand it and get going. This technique is holding the accent yarn Continental and holding your main yarn English style. So for the next stitch after you make that first one, we're just going to yarn over as usual with English style, going around and knitting 1 with A. Then the next one, what we want to do is trap in or catch this B yarn in behind A, because we're going to be working for 3 stitches in A. So I'm just going to go underneath B back here, held in the back, and then I'm going to wrap around with A and then pull it on through. And what happens is you'll see that this B kind of slides off the needle, and it doesn't actually go through with A, and then we just let it lop off in the back, and you can see it hanging on. Then we're just going to catch it in there by knitting 1 more in A, and you see how in the back it's now caught, and we don't have a long color strand, and we are totally set up to yarn over with B So instead of dipping underneath our needle, we're actually going to be wrapping around the needle and then pulling it on through, and now you have your next stitch. So that is the next one for your repeat. So we've already done one entire repeat and we're going to move on. So go into the next one and we're going to knit one with A, and then before we knit with A again, we're going to dip underneath that strand of B, yarn over with A and pull through, and now we're going to catch it in totally by knitting one more stitch as normal with A. Do you see how that is? So you can actually throw both of these. You just need to keep your ball in the back for the for your accent out of the way. And then this, if you'll dip underneath that yarn back there, it will do that trap in method, whether you hold them in one in each hand or you try and throw it and manipulate it. I want to show you how fast you can rewind and make that go slower. I'm going to show you how fast it is for me once I get going, and you can see how this can very quickly work your color stranded work. So that is 4 stitches there. So I'm knitting one, I'm catching it in the back, I'm knitting it again to finish trapping that, and then I'm yarning over and getting a knit stitch. And so I have just worked through 2 of these repeats here. So you're just going to continue all the way around until you get to this stitch marker, and then drop accent B and work with only A for 1 round. All right, pause your video and I'll meet you back up after you've done those 2 rounds. See you soon. So your knitting should look like this. It's going to start looking like little V's. If they're pulled out, they will be kind of open at the bottom, but once your knitting kind of comes down, it gets a little more weight on it. They'll look like little closed up V's or little hearts. And you're just going to continue knitting this in the 4 round repeat. You're going to work 7 repeats of these rounds. So when you're ready to shape your top, we'll meet you back up soon. See you then. All right, so I have done my 4 rounds and I've repeated it up until I've got 8 inches. And this is about 7 repeats here. So I'm going to measure down from where my live stitches are down to where this brim is, and that's 8 inches. And if you want to see how many rounds it was of the repeat, this bottom line represents the first part, and then this second line here is that 3rd round with that one between. So you can count up to when the next one is from here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so that's the end of it. We finished that last round and we're ready to go ahead and cut B. So we just go ahead and cut that yarn, and we're ready to finish the hat by shaping the top. So let's do the shaping of the top with the first round, and this is where we're going to knit 6 and then we're going to knit 2 together. So go ahead and work your first 6 stitches just as normal, and if you don't know how to knit 2 together, I'll show you how to do that. So we're ready to knit 2 together. We look at the first 2 stitches and go into the second stitch and then through the first as well. So we're going into both stitches, and we're just going to knit as we normally do and pull through, and it will knit these 2 stitches together, and that is all you do for a knit 2 together. So we're just going to continue knitting on 6 more stitches. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then knit 2 together. Same thing, go into that second stitch through the first one as well, and then knit. So you're going to continue repeating with the knit 6, knit 2 stitches together all the way around, and then go one more time for this second round. So the second and alternate rounds we're going to knit, and then the odd rounds we're going to decrease. So after you've done the this round of 6, whenever you go to the next decrease round, you're going to knit 5 and then decrease, knit 5 and then decrease, and then knit another round of knit. So you're just going to continue to repeat that until you've worked your way all the way down to the 11th round, where you're just, so you knit 5, and then the next time you do a decrease, you're knitting 4, then knitting 3, knitting 2, and this is all in the pattern, so make sure you have the pattern, and then you're going to do a knit 2 together and repeat. So we will end up going all the way down to 8 stitches. I'll meet you back up when you have those 8 stitches on your needles. So this first round here will get you from 64 stitches down to 56, and you'll just continue decreasing. So refer to your pattern, mark off when you've done those different rows, and I'll meet you back when you've got 8 stitches left on your needles. See you soon. All right, so I want to give you a little peek into what I'm doing. I'm using the magic circle technique to continue with my circular needles, but I've got a few stitches on the back and then these stitches here on the front, and then the extra cord to the side. So I'm starting on this last round here, or this next round for me, it's round 11, and I'm just going to knit 1 and then knit 2 together. And I'll show you how I work this around. So if you want to just kind of watch and hang on with me here. Knitting 1 and knit 2 together. Knit 1 and knit 2 together. And if you notice, I changed to my other needles here. I had this silver one earlier. So because I'm at the end, I think you pretty much know how to see those stitches here. Even with this dark yarn, it's more about seeing how the needle is working with all these extra cords on it. All right, so I'm coming to the end here. I've knit 2 together, and now I've got to knit 1, and then the next one I'll knit 2 together. So I'm going to kind of work my stitches around. So I just have a few here, and then bend my cord and kind of pull on it and get some of these stitches around to the other side. I'm going to take my cord and bend it around here, back behind where this stitch marker is. Feed them on my needle. Let me turn my work around. Here we go. I'm probably trying to get too many on here, so hold on one second. You just adjust it as you need. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to knit 2 together. Knit 1 and knit 2 together. All right, and then I should have my 16 stitches left. And then I'll work one more round here, just working all these stitches, and then we'll knit 2 together all the way around, and you'll have 8 stitches left. Once you have those 8 stitches left, you're going to break your yarn, and we're going to thread it through those stitches. So meet me back up when you have your 8 stitches. See you soon. Okay, so we are down to the 8 stitches that we need, and we've just got this kind of mess with all our extra cords, and no worries. So you are ready to cut your yarn. So go ahead and cut a nice long strand, and we just need to thread on our tapestry needle here. And we're just going to be slowly working our way around these stitches. You don't need that stitch marker anymore. And let's go ahead and start grabbing these. We'll go with the first one and load it on this needle again. I just like to go in the same order that I've been going. We're just going to thread it right through these live loops here. So 1, 2, 3, and pull that on through and go to the next ones. And 1, 2, 3. Actually, I should be counting. So I did 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that is all. And now we're done with our needles. And then you're just going to pull this on through. And then go through to the back side. I'm going to go through 2 of these original stitches first before I do. And now I'm going to go inside. And turn it over. Pull that on through. And now I just want to go through a few stitches, leave a loop, go through that loop, and pull it on through and tighten it up. And then you can just darn in your hat and make sure it's nice and closed. You can check the other side before I go on something like this. I want to make sure that it looks really nice. Look at that. That is a good looking close on that hat. Nice crown area. All right, so let's just go ahead and get these stitches in here. I'm going to go through a couple more, leave a loop at the end, go through it. Okay, and then you can cut your hat there, or you can go in through some stitches. No one's going to see that because this is the kind of hat that's not going to be seen that way. And then go ahead and work your stranding in. So I have some color stranding this last piece that I had not worked in yet. And so I'm just going to go back through here and pick a few stitches and loop it through, leave a loop, and then go through that again just to get it nice and cut off. I don't want to pull it too tight because I don't want to affect the size of the stitch on the next side. And then I just like to go through here on the same color and just go down this round here, kind of whipping, doing like a whip stitch through here. And then you can come back and go through this next strand. Okay, so, and then I'm just going to go back through the opposite direction one more time, a few stitches, and then we're done. Cut that off. No one's going to see that. And then you want to fix this beginning tail here. Any other tails, go ahead and weave those in, and I'll do that and show you the final result. See you soon. So we have our final hat, and I've added a little pom-pom to it, or you could remove it. And so you've got this nice shaped top of the hat, and so you could put a pom-pom on with multiple colors or just one. I've used the birch because I had lots of that left over, and then you just take your tapestry needle in and stick it in the middle and pull it on through and then tie it in, or make it to where you can untie it and have the option to have it with or without, or put a little button on and clip it inside. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial today on making your simple Fair Isle hat. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed making this hat, please be sure and subscribe down below and check out the other tutorials that are available. And with your subscription, you'll be able to get tutorials every week. On behalf of GoodKnit Kisses, I'm your host, Kristen, wishing you happy knitting. Bye-bye.